Public land access is back under the microscope, corner crossing is back in the headlines, and Western hunters are once again caught in the legal gray zone. While lawmakers and judges argue over public-private property lines and airspace rights, the bears, they don't care. They're following the spring green-up wave and moving up in predictable elevation zones. Today's Thrive episode is by special request from PEAX Equipment. We're breaking down the 2 spring bear hunt timing options and the 3 distinct phases of the spring bear season. We're also going to take a look at some expanded tools and how they might fit into our spring bear planning process. Let's get to it. Do you want to join me on a backcountry, llama-supported spring bear hunt in Montana? I'm excited to partner alongside PEAX Equipment for an epic 2026 spring bear hunt giveaway. Simply purchase the PEAX Origami TNT tarp and you're entered to win. It's that easy. I've been running the Origami TNT for over a year now, and it's become a must-have on nearly every hunt we go on. This tarp is incredibly versatile, and it's adaptable enough to handle almost any terrain or weather situation. You can get entered now at peaxequipment.com, and we might just be chasing giant Montana bears next spring. Corner crossing, the battle for public land access. Public land is supposed to be yours, mine, and everyone's. But here's the catch. The land is checkerboarded. It's cut up by a century-old relic of 19th century railroad land grants. At the corners where public meets private, divided by nothing more than a single point, lies a legal gray area that's been exploited by private landowners for far too long. Back in 2021, 4 hunters from Missouri, of course it was my fellow Show Me State boys, blazing the trail. They used a ladder to cross from one parcel of land to another without stepping on private ground. They were slapped with criminal trespass, and then they were sued civilly by the landowner, claiming that they violated his airspace. As if trying to sell our public lands isn't bad enough, apparently even the air above the public land is now up for grabs. Thankfully, a federal court saw through the charade. In a unanimous decision, the judges ruled that corner crossing, when done without physically touching private land, is not trespassing. This was a huge win. This decision affirms the right to access nearly 3 million acres of public land that has been effectively landlocked by outdated, illogical boundaries, at least in the state of Wyoming. But here's the kicker. This ruling only applies to states in the 10th Circuit: Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Oklahoma, and Kansas. If you're in Montana or Idaho or anywhere else, you're stuck in no man's land, hoping your next step won't land you in court. In Montana, corner crossing is a legal gray area. There is no explicit state law that either permits or prohibits the practice. However, Montana Fish and Wildlife has taken the position that corner crossing is unlawful, and they advise individuals to obtain permission from adjacent landowners before attempting it. Montana falls under the jurisdiction of the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals, so the recent rulings in the 10th Circuit, which includes Wyoming, does not set legal precedent in Montana. So until someone steps up, like those Missouri boys did, don't expect any clarity on this issue anytime soon. This fight is far from over. Same song, second verse in Idaho. There's no clear statute permitting or banning corner crossing, and the Department of Fish and Game advises hunters to get landowner permission. But here's the question. If you've never touched private land, what exactly are you trespassing on? That's the legal gray zone that no one's willing to define. For now, Idaho Fish and Game warns that you could face misdemeanor charges. The law isn't clear, but the risks are real. Want to go deeper on the issue? One of the best recent breakdowns I found on this whole mess was written by Amanda Eggert in the High Country Times, published on March 20th, 2025. Access to public land through corner crossing remains legal. This article cuts straight to the core of the issue. I've included the link in the text description below. Timing your spring bear hunt and understanding the 3 phases. In this segment, let's talk about timing your spring bear hunt, because if you don't get this first decision dialed in, you're starting bear season off behind the 8 ball. This is a key segment that Ryan and I cover in depth in our newly launched Unlocking Spring Bear Success course at treelineacademy.net. Scheduling your hunt is one of the first and most fundamental decisions you'll make. But here's the twist. It's not only about when you can go, it's about how that schedule or timing aligns with the seasonal phases of spring bear behavior. Get that combination wrong, and you're setting yourself up to burn through a lot of boot leather with possibly not much to show for it. So let's start with two basic but very different hunt timing or scheduling scenarios. Option 1, the fixed schedule. Maybe life dictates your calendar, work, family, or just plain reality. You've got a locked-in hunt window. Let's say April 15th. That's early, real early, for snowpack states like Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. So now your job is to reverse engineer a hunt area that works for that or with that time frame. You'll need a zone with solid bear density, the right elevation band, and the terrain features that start greening up first. Think lower elevation, southern facing slope. Sounds easy, right? Well, it's not. This is where understanding snow levels, slope orientation, and spring bear behavior becomes critical. Option 2, the flexible schedule. Now let's flip it. Say you've got a killer bear area picked out. It's got it all. Double burns, limited access, rocky basins, great glassing knobs. It's absolute bear candy terrain. In this case, your challenge is to pick the best time to be in that specific area. You'll want to match dates to when the snow line and the new green growth align perfectly with a specific targeted elevation zone. Either way, locked in or flexible, you've got to do your homework right up to the day you leave. Monitoring snow cover, snow depth, and the melting progress, along with temperature and the spring green up progression, is mission critical until you are rolling out of the driveway. Now that we have muddied the spring bear waters, let's lay down another piece of the puzzle, the 3 distinct phases of the spring bear season. Each comes with its own pros, cons, and strategies. Here's how we break it down in the course. Phase 1, the early season, early April to late April. This is the pre-rut phase. It is arguably your best shot at a true giant bear, but it does come with its set of challenges. Some bears are up, but some are still denned up, so the bear density is a bit lower. But the bears that are out, they're focused and locked on early food sources. They're not roaming around, they're not rutting, and that can work in your favor if you know where to focus your glass. The snowpack reduces the available landscape, and it compresses your search zone. Less country to cover again if you're looking in the right zone. We love hunting the early phase. Yes, it's tough, but for those willing to do the work, this is the prime time for some of the biggest of bears. Phase 2, the mid-season, May 1st to about the 3rd week in May. This is the sweet spot for most bear hunters. The snow is melting, access is opening up, and the majority of the bears are now on their feet. You'll see more movement, more sign, and perhaps have more opportunity to intercept bears moving between feed zones. This is also when baiting starts to pick up if you're in a bait legal zone or state. We log a lot of spring miles during the mid-season phase. The bears are there, but you need to be ready to move fast when you see one. Phase 3, the late season, the peak rut, end of May to June 30th. This last phase is a mixed bag. It can be incredible, or it can be very hit and miss. The rut is now on. The bears are moving. They're covering country and they're chasing sows. Visibility can become a challenge during this phase. The trees are all leafed out, and thick vegetation can shut down ground visibility in areas that were great in May. The snow is gone in a lot of elevation ranges. The bears are no longer locked exclusively to southern-facing slopes. They can literally be everywhere. The glassing gets harder. Calling can be much more effective if you have the backbone for it. Honestly, we have not had a lot of luck catching up to fast-moving bears during this time, but we have had success calling bears during this phase. During the late phase, your overall strategy needs to shift. You need to stay mobile. Your selection of glassing spots can be the difference between success and failure. Chasing bears during the peak of the rut can be challenging, but it can also be wild. Timing is everything with spring bear hunting. Whether your calendar is fixed or flexible, whether you're chasing early season giants or playing the rut game in June, the key is matching your e-scouting and hunt planning strategy to the phase. As I mentioned earlier, Ryan and I just launched phase 1 of the Western Bear Hunting course, Unlocking Spring Bear Success. If you want to learn the exact systems we use to analyze terrain, track snow lines, and identify those prime spring bear zones, then head over to treelineacademy.net and check out the course. Don't just hunt where you hope the bears are, hunt where they actually are. On X Hunt, expanding your hunt planning toolbox. This is going to be a relatively short tech review segment. I wanted to highlight a few of the onX Hunt Elite member features that are becoming increasingly valuable for e-scouting and spring bear hunt planning. What's standing out right now? Terrain X. We covered this in a previous episode, so we're not going to focus on it today. The onX Terrain X tool has some good and some not so good, but overall, it's a very effective tool you can leverage to isolate spring bear zones. HD Topo Base Map. This option is accessible only in the base camp selection area. This overlay adds depth and contour shading to the traditional topography base map. You must have the Topo base map selected for this functionality to work. Activating this option makes the terrain come alive. The cliff bands and rough terrain features come to life. The contrast is even more apparent when you're working in the 3D mode. It reminds me of the USGS shaded topography base map that I now include in the Treeline Google Earth Pro Toolkit. These shaded USGS topography maps are excellent for evaluating steep, broken country and visualizing potential travel routes and glassing setups. Leaf off imagery. Truthfully, this option does not apply here in the West, at least not yet. It's mostly an Eastern and Southern US tool for now. Recent imagery. Now this one is a winner. I primarily use CalTopo for this type of semi-live aerial imagery hunt planning research, but now onX Hunt has given us another tool and another look. The resolution is marginal at best. They all are, but it's good enough to see the ground snow cover. When matched up with the Treeline Google Earth Pro Toolkit, snow cover, snow depth, and melt research tools, this is a winning combination. The imagery seems to be updated and published every 2 weeks, and you're able to go back a couple of years to do some historical research on potential spring bear hunt areas. I do hope that onX continues to expand this one. In the Unlocking Spring Bear course, we talk a lot about using terrain analysis tools to break down and isolate prime spring bear environments. These 2 layers fit right into that process. I really like the way how onX presents the colorized data. Slope angle layer. This color-coded overlay highlights the steepness graduations across the terrain. This layer helps you to visualize steep terrain, identify cliff bands, and is very valuable for off-trail route planning. Bears tend to prefer specific slope steepness ranges, and this tool makes it easy to identify and isolate them. Slope aspect layer. This layer operates much the same way. This layer option invokes a color-coded map overlay to show the compass direction of a slope face. This feature is incredibly valuable when it comes to spring bear hunt planning. In the early phases of the spring bear season, southern-facing slopes are key. This layer helps you isolate significant southern-facing slope exposures, and it helps you to identify clusters of south-facing slopes. As we discuss in the course, this can help you zero in on potential spring bear hunt areas and perhaps more importantly, eliminate areas that do not have potential. I'm always looking to add tools to my toolbox, but not just any tool. I always say, use the right tool for the right job. If the tool helps me move the success needle, then it gets added to the toolbox. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At Treeline Academy and on this Thrive podcast, I don't just show you the tools. I try to teach you how to apply them and elevate your Western hunting success. Corner crossing might be stuck in a legal tug of war, but in the meantime, we need to hunt smarter, think tactically, and keep sharpening our edge. The bears are out there, and success won't come from hope. It will come from planning, preparation, and execution. Spring bear hunting is one of the most underutilized opportunities in the West. If you want to move your spring bear game to the next level, check out the Unlocking Spring Bear Success course at treelineacademy.net. One of the goals with this Thrive podcast is to give you the blueprint you need to start stacking the odds in your favor. The more you take control of what you can control, the better you're able to handle the things that you can't control on a hunt. I'll see you next time.